Got to put my didymiums on. Going to make a bead for you. I want you to see how beads are made. One of my favorite beads to make for beads of courage is a pie bead. And for that, I'm going to need 3 colors of glass. I'm going to need ivory for the base, chocolate, because it's going to be a chocolate pie, and white for whipped cream. Now, it's not too hard of a bead to make, and it's really a lot of fun. And you'll notice I'm wearing my glasses because I don't want to hurt my eyes. I don't want to hurt the color receptors in my eyes. And I'm going to start out, I got to lower this just a little. I don't recommend this, what I just did, and I'm going to make the pie base. The pie base will be made out of ivory. So just keep an eye on it. I'm warming up my glass. You see the little ball on the end, warming it up. I'm also warming my mandrel dipped in bead release. Doesn't look much like pie yet, does it? That's just the base. And I've got to shape my base so it becomes triangular. And I get good ends. I'm looking for good ends on my bead. But that's not enough to make the pie base. Not enough glass, so I've got to add more. Again, I've added more glass, and I'm getting almost to where I want to be with this. Got to shape it again. I always want to keep it warm because it'll break otherwise. I need a little more glass so I have a triangular shaped bead with good ends because we don't want jagged ends. Okay, now it's a little bit more like I want it to be shaped. So we're just getting started on our base. I want good ends. And when I flatten this piece of glass, I want it to look good. Okay, I'm almost there. Notice I keep warming the bead up. Okay, this is right before I flatten the bead. Alright, I'm going to take my mashers now. And the ivory is getting a little bit darker, so it's going to look more like pie base. And I smash it. And I've got kind of a pie base right there. But I keep it warm because I don't want chill marks and I don't want it to get too cold so that it will pop. So here's my pie base. Now I need a crust on top. I'm going to add a crust, I should say on the side. I'm going to add a crust. Okay, that's layer one. Okay, can you see that? It's got a little bit of a crust for the side. But I want it to look more like a crust, so I'm going to take my pliers and I'm going to make it into a little wavy crust there, like you would see on a real pie. And notice I keep warming it, and notice I keep the ends warm. It's the only way to do it, or else you're going to pop it. Okay, there, I got my crust made. Can you see that? Okay. Now, since this is going to be chocolate pie, I need a chocolate brown rod. And I think my flame's just a little bit too high. So now I want to warm up my pie, my crust, my rod, and I want to keep my crust open, warm. So I heat my rod to glowing again, and remember, glass melts at my soft glass melts at about 1200 degrees. So we're dealing with a lot of hot flames, high temperatures. And I'm putting my chocolate on. Okay, it's not quite done yet. It's getting there. Not quite where it needs to be yet. But I gotta keep it warm. Just keep adding glass till I get it to be as high as I want it to be. And it's getting close. Now it's starting to look like chocolate pie to me, the kind I like. Remember, all the while we're doing this, you're melting glass, you got to keep that glass warm so it doesn't pop and doesn't break later. And I think I'm going to have to redo my crust edge because it's melting in a little bit more than I like. So I'll get my pliers out again. Oh, I'm going to have to add more glass there to even it out. Okay, so I need a little more glass on this side, more pie crust glass. I want to keep it warm and melting slowly. Pinch it again with my pliers. Still not melted on the top. It needs to be melted in a bit more. Starting to look like pie. But what is pie without whipped cream? And this glass is what's a little shocky. I don't know why. Normally white is not shocky. So you can see I've already gone through about, oh, what, 1/8 of a rod in glass. When it gets shocky like that, you lose it. Start of my whipped cream. Okay, there's my whipped cream. Now, before I put it in the kiln, and it needs to go into the kiln immediately, I have to give it a bath in the flame. The reason I do that is to make sure it's warm all the way around and so it won't break. I don't want to over melt it, because if I over melt it, then I might as well start again because I'll just have a blob. But here, oh, it's getting a nice bath now. See, it's starting to glow a little bit. That's what I want, just a little bit of glow. And this way I can reshape if I need to. And there is a pie bead. It's going into the kiln. And now I can make another bead.